The first episode of Malik's World. Malik, an ordinary man who thinks a lot and has unwavering confidence in himself. It is night. A deep, blue, silent night. The trees are tall, the shadows are long, and in the middle of it all stands Malik. Still, motionless, with that expression he always has. Neutral, calm, almost bored, as if being alone in a forest at night is the most normal thing in the world to him. And maybe, for Malik, that is exactly the case. The most normal thing in the world. He doesn't really know how he ended up here. Was he walking? Was he looking for something? Did he get lost following some strange idea in his mind? No one knows. Malik doesn't know either. And most importantly, Malik doesn't worry about it. Because Malik never really worries. He observes. He analyzes. He thinks. That's all he does. That's all he knows how to do. And tonight, in this forest, he will have a lot to think about. The forest is silent. Too silent, perhaps. There is no sound of wind, no insects, just this thick, heavy silence that wraps everything. Malik slightly raises his arms, looks around and says only one thing. Good. And that's where it begins. A deer. A large brown deer crosses the screen from left to right at full speed. Its legs barely visible because it's running so fast. Malik watches it pass. Neutral expression. He simply turns his head from left to right, following the deer with his eyes as if it were normal. As if seeing a panicked deer in the middle of the night was something he experienced every day. Then a rabbit, small, gray, rushing in the opposite direction of the deer, toward the left this time, with impressive speed for such a small animal. Malik looks at the rabbit, then looks to the right where the deer disappeared, then looks to the left where the rabbit vanished. Still the same expression, neutral, calm, almost curious. Then the bird. A small gray bird suddenly takes off into the sky, wings flapping rapidly, as if it is fleeing something on the ground. Malik tilts his head upward, following it with his eyes until it disappears into the night. And finally, the fox. Orange, fast, elegant, even in its panic, it runs across the bottom of the screen toward the right, tail trailing behind it, without even noticing Malik. And then Malik is alone again. Completely alone, surrounded by silence. All the animals are gone, in every different direction. And he is still there, motionless, arms slightly raised, staring into the void. Interesting. And now, the moment everyone has been waiting for. The moment Malik thinks. Because Malik never panics. No, panic is for others. For deer, rabbits, birds, and foxes. Malik, on the other hand, thinks. He analyzes the situation. He searches for the logic behind the chaos, and there is always logic. There is always logic. So he begins to observe. The deer was going to the right, the fox was also going to the right, the rabbit was going to the left, the bird was going upward. Not all in the same direction then, but all of them were fleeing. All of them were running. All of them were panicking. Something had frightened them. Something large enough and dangerous enough to make a deer, a fox, a rabbit, and a bird panic at the same time. Malik narrows his eyes. He thinks. The animals are not fleeing in the same direction, which means the threat is not precisely localized, but they are all still fleeing, which means the threat is real. And in a forest at night, what can make all animals panic at the same time? Malik slowly nods. The answer is obvious. A hunter, somewhere in the forest, maybe with a rifle, maybe with traps, maybe just with his presence. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the animals sensed the danger before he did. And if Malik is still standing calmly in the middle of this forest, it might be because he too should listen to what the animals are telling him without speaking. And that's when Malik does what he always does. He turns toward the camera with the expression of someone who has just solved a great mystery. Calm, confident, completely convinced that everything now makes sense. For a moment, he says nothing. He looks around at the empty forest. The deer is gone. The rabbit is gone. The fox is gone. Even the bird has disappeared into the darkness above. Slowly, Malik raises one finger. He takes a deep breath. Then he begins to explain. Ah, I understand now. They're all fleeing the hunter. One hunter somewhere in this forest, and every animal is panicking. The deer runs. The rabbit runs. The fox runs. The bird flies away. Fascinating, isn't it? One human with probably a rifle and the entire forest clears out in seconds. He pauses, looks around again. The smile slowly fades. I should run too. And he runs. Not because he is afraid, not because he is panicking, Malik doesn't really panic. He runs because it is the logical thing to do. The evidence is clear. Every animal in the forest has reached the same conclusion. Staying where he is would be irrational. Therefore, he runs. And surprisingly, he runs fast. Very fast. Faster than anyone would expect from a stick figure who spends most of his time thinking. The forest rushes past him in a blur of shadows and moonlight. Branches sway overhead, leaves crunch beneath his feet. Ahead of him, the rabbit darts through the undergrowth. Within seconds, Malik catches up and passes it. A little farther ahead, the deer is leaping between the trees. For a brief moment, Malik runs beside it. The deer glances at him with an expression that seems to ask, "What exactly are you doing here?" Malik returns a calm look that seems to answer, "Following the available data." The deer does not appear reassured. Farther ahead, the fox races through the darkness, elegant even while fleeing. Above them, the bird cuts across the night sky, wings beating rapidly, and somehow they all end up moving together. A deer, a rabbit, a fox, a bird, and Malik. An unlikely team united by a single objective. They keep running through the darkness, not knowing where they are going, but knowing exactly why they cannot stop. And then everything stops, all at once, as if someone had pressed pause on the entire forest. The deer stops, the fox stops, the rabbit stops, the bird lands on a nearby branch, and Malik stops. For a moment, nobody moves. They all look around, to the left, to the right, behind them, in front of them, waiting, listening, watching. But there is nothing, absolutely nothing. No hunter, no rifle, no traps, no danger hiding in the shadows, just a quiet forest bathed in soft moonlight. The trees stand still, the night is calm, the silence returns, and suddenly, the realization hits them. They ran all this way for nothing. The deer slowly turns towards Malik. The rabbit turns toward Malik. The fox turns toward Malik. Even the bird tilts its head and looks down at him from the branch, and Malik looks back at all of them. A large sweat drop appears on the side of his head. No one says a word. The silence stretches on. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. It becomes increasingly awkward. Finally, Malik clears his throat. Malik, awkward smile. There was nothing. Another pause. He glances around the empty forest one last time, then shrugs. But running for nothing is still better than standing still for something. And that's it for this first episode of Malik's World. Did Malik do the right thing by running?